What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Karana. Some here, official thing I got going on. Doing the Essex County all day edition here. Wow. I paused because, like I said, this has just been great, especially when I get to talk to those that I'm familiar with, or at least heard of from around the way back at home in the Essex County area here. Major Jennings is no exception to that here. Just have an opportunity to sit back and listen to his walk, hear what he got to say here. The pleasure is all mine when it's all said and done as far as that goes here. Looking forward to this. So just hold tight. We get Mr. Jennings on. Hey, how you doing there, Mr. Jennings? Can you hear me?
Doing well, Mr. Webb. How are you?
Oh, keep getting me with this, Mr. Webb. Ibn is cool. Ibn is cool.
Ibn is cool. Ibn is cool.
this is this is an honor. Thank you for taking time out to do this here. Like I said, I know just have an opportunity to just when I started this, just knowing the names and just hearing names just from the past and everything else here. So me just sitting here with you, I just wanted to just let you know again, this is an honor for me to even be having somewhat of a conversation with you. We just kicking it here. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. It's an honor for me. Thank you for having me.
Uh, good. How's life treating you, family? Everybody's good?
Yeah, everyone's good. I'm a principal here at Buzz Aldrin Middle School in Montclair, formerly called Mount Hebron. I have two daughters who are doing well in life,
Good.
three grandchildren, so things are good.
I might have to circle back with you with the daughters. I have a daughter. She's 9, so I'm figuring this dad thing out still. I know the best is yet to come. I say that in good taste, but also sarcastically as well, because I know some things is coming.
Some things are coming, brother.
Yes. So, being in Montclair here, just where was you born? You were born in New Jersey, or you was born elsewhere and ended up in Montclair?
I was born in Montclair, New Jersey, lived in Montclair my entire life except for the 4 years I had in college.
Mhm.
But yeah, born and raised right here in Montclair, New Jersey.
Now, correct me wrong. I know there was Mountainside Hospital. There was Mountainside Hospital, right? And then there was the one. I'm drawing a blank. It's across
So
town.
you had Mountainside, then you had St. Vincent's, which was on Elm Street, but I
Okay.
was on that community hospital on Harrison Avenue in Montclair.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer there. Their condos there now. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yep,
Sounds
yep.
like the sign of the times, knocking down stuff and putting up housing, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, siblings. You have any siblings? Or is it just you?
Yeah, I have two brothers and two sisters. I'm the second to the oldest.
Okay.
And we grew up right on the corner of Maple and Elmwood across from Glenfield Park.
Mm, mm.
So,
Yeah.
my house was the community house. So always someone at my house, and we had a hoop in the backyard, and so it was the community house.
Interesting. You say community house. So as a childhood, like describe your childhood. How
Yeah,
was it?
sure, absolutely. So, my parents are from Virginia, and so as soon as school would let out, we would spend our entire summers in Virginia, and that was a great experience for me. My grandfather, he owned uh, like a convenience store. He
Mhm.
had a shop, a mechanic shop for his sons. He had a farm. He also had a funeral home business. So it was really interesting being in the deep South in
Mhm.
Virginia, um, and just watching how he operated. And so I was always so proud of him that a black man during that time could accumulate land and have a
Mhm.
farm, have these various businesses. Um, and it was about hard work. And so I learned a lot going down south, working on the farm, pulling tobacco, driving tractors,
Mhm.
and really getting the first hand view of what poverty was like for a lot of people in the South.
Mm. Interesting you say that because again, I'm sure it was being Virginian versus Montclair. I know Montclair had his stuff, but being in the deep south, as you mentioned in the summertime, back then, even being that young here, you were you able just to see the difference economically and
Oh,
everything else?
absolutely. I mean, it really made me appreciate the things that my family had.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I saw families that, dirt roads,
Mm-hmm.
no running water. They literally had to come across the street to my grandparents' place to get water. Outhouses. So I learned and developed at a very young age empathy and a sense of gratitude and to have the things that I had in life. But I was able to, as I explained to you, to see firsthand what the trials and tribulations that folks were going through.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think a lot those in the north here that have families still in the south experience some of the stuff you got to experience at an early age, and it was the whole me sending you to your grandparents or your uncles for the summer or your aunts for the summer that were down south, and you get that experience. Sometimes it's overlooked, but as you tend to grow and mature, you look back like you get a deeper understanding of all that stuff as far as what you had to do and sometimes we take things for granted, but it sounds like that you didn't.
No, no, I didn't take it. I took full advantage of it, and you know, it it kind of took away from my development early on as a basketball player, but it made me a much stronger person, a much more compassionate person, and um, and just appreciative of the things that I have today in life, and just the experiences that people in Montclair have been able to enjoy. So, um, though that's where I spent my entire summers. I would say up until about sixth grade, and then I fell in love with the game of basketball. And I would ask my parents if I could stay back in New Jersey
Mm.
just to develop my skills. But I really enjoyed the game of basketball, and it was rough beginnings for me as a basketball player. I was a little guy.
Mm.
Uh, I even entering my freshman year in high school, I was only like 95 pounds. I was tall. So I really, really had to work, and I went through some rough times, but it made me a better person.
No, no, I definitely hit. And I think just even with reflecting back on some of the stuff in the South and you being an educator your whole life, that pays dividends as well too, and stuff maybe we'll touch on shortly here, but you talk about these so-called history books that we see and stuff that's inaccurate or completely left out. So I'm sure just some of your hands-on experience has helped as far as just you educating those around you as well too. So I'm
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. You need to know your history. You need to know where you come from. Um, I think one of the most powerful experiences in terms of book knowledge is I had a book knowledge. I had a professor in economics named Professor Garral, and he called me to his office one day and he was like, Major, how much do you know about your people?
Mm,
I ran off like Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, and tears start rolling down his eyes. He said, "You don't even know how great your people were and
hmm
are." And
hmm
he gave me these five books. One that stands out in my mind is Black Mother, and it just told the story about how great Africans were and the agriculture and the knowledge and their ability to build. And so he said, don't ever take that lightly. Always understand and always read and know that you come from a great people, and that will always help you to push through hard times later on in life. So I'm always grateful for that experience with Professor Garral.
No, that's great to hear. And I think just thinking about it, we all over the place from street lights and to pencil sharpeners we done created. So like we've done some work. We put in a whole lot of work. We put in a whole lot of work.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
One one to ask in regards to I know you mentioned hoops here before even falling in love with basketball. Or was there anything else that you activity wise growing up got into?
Of course, all the neighborhood kids played football.
Hmm.
So, but I was so slight. I used to get beat up all the time with that
Mm.
football. But we used to play like rough and tumble down at Glenfield, and um, we would play tackle football, no equipment. So it was football and then basketball.
Okay. Especially being in Montclair, just a huge sports town. So
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
so
like
Montclair
yeah.
is a huge sports town, especially for football.
Hmm.
Uh, I remember going to the football field, Woodman Field, in the '60s, and I'm telling you, it was like the whole town shut down. All the games were sold out. I
Mm.
used to climb the fence to get into the games because I didn't have money to get in, but you know, everybody went to the Montclair High School football games. It was just an event on Saturdays.
Mm. Now, even organized, when did you start playing anything organized?
So my basketball career began with the St. Paul's Baptist Church,
Hmm.
located on Elm Street. We used to play at the YMCA on Washington Street. And so all the neighborhood kids, all the kids from the neighborhood played for St. Paul. So that was my first exposure to organized basketball. I played in the summer ECPC basketball. We would go to different parks in the county, down north, Orange, East Orange, and play. And we had CYO basketball with
Hmm.
the Catholic Church of St. Peter's Clavers. And so those were the beginning stages of my basketball exposure. And of course, we had a great program at Glenfield Park called MCAT.
Mm.
And those were some hot games during the summer. So that's where it all began.
Yeah. Now, playing as far as just learning how to play, was it just by playing, or did I know you said you had a hoop in the back too. So,
We had great games in my backyard. All the neighborhood kids would come by. We would do like layup lines. Whoever uh, could stay in the longest would get like $1. We would do all
mhm,
kinds of little games, 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. But from the early beginnings, I have to say that Al Pelham, Erwin Stamper, those were people in the community who spent a lot of time with me. Again, I wasn't
mhm,
at the top of the ladder, so
mhm,
I was a bottom feeder, and so guys like that really spent time with me, helping me with my game, giving me direction. But back in those days, all the kids in the community were in the park, so it was survival of the fittest,
mhm.
and you always could get a game. But if you lost, you may have a long wait.
Yeah, those are the worst. That was the worst. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it was just a constant struggle, and but it was a great opportunity to hone in, to develop your skills, to get better. But in terms of formal training, I would have to say the help of Al Pelham and Erwin Stamper was great for me in my life.
Mm.
And
Now, even
at the
in
beginning,
my
excuse me. So,
club was pretty much a no-brainer as far as high school. That's where you
so
was that.
my high school career was really rocky. It was really rocky. Again, I was small. I got a little run as a freshman, um, played a little JV sophomore basketball. And
Because back then was it freshman, sophomore, JV, and varsity, or was
right, exactly.
okay?
So the sophomore team was like the rejects. But just having the opportunity to play was great for me. So I took advantage of that opportunity. And then my junior year, I was cut. We had some really strong guards: Frank Hillman, Dan Rice, um, I had a guy named Wayne Brooks in Montclair. But so I got cut, and I tell you, I was hurt. I was
Mm.
really hurt because back then the coach would put the list on the gymnasium door, and so everybody would come. So
Everybody see
everybody
it.
would know
Yeah.
that who made the team, who got cut. But at that, I was like, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. So I said to myself, I am going to practice every day
Mm.
for 3 hours because I knew the team practiced for about 2 hours. So I went down to Glenfield Park in the cold. I had to shovel the snow,
Mm-hmm.
but I was determined that I was going to turn this thing around. And thank God for St. Paul's Baptist church. I was able to play, and I was averaging about 35, 40 points in the church league.
Mm-hmm.
And, kids from the neighborhood, kids from my area in the fourth ward, they start calling me Top Gun. And my senior year, and I had a pretty good summer with MCAP. And my senior year, I really wanted to make the team, but it was very difficult for someone who got cut
Mm-hmm.
because the coach pretty much had in mind, who he wanted. And again, Erwin Stampert and Al Pelham, they were very strong advocates. They knew I could play. And at that
Mm-hmm.
time, I knew I could play also, but I just needed an opportunity. And so uh, the coach called me in his office. I'll never forget this. He said, Major, you're not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh,
Mm-hmm.
eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. He said, you're the last man on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you made it by the skin of your teeth. And I looked at him and I said, I'm gonna give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I went on and said, I'm gonna give you all those reasons to prove you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by like the fifth game, I began starting every opportunity I got. I was angry at that point. Every day of practice, I worked as hard as I could. Ran the line drills, tried to come in first, and the coach gave me an opportunity, and I was able to do well. And I was diving after the ball. I hurt my right shoulder, and that kind of set me back. But I really changed. And the coach told me, he wrote in my yearbook, he said, you're like one of my all-time favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I never met somebody that worked as hard as you do, and I really appreciate you. And you're like one of my all-time favorites. And then I went on to we had this guy named Bird, and he put it, AAU wasn't big back then, but we played in this I guess it was like a tournament at Union Catholic High School, and we just had guys from the park,
Mm-hmm.
and we did really well, but I scored like 28, 30, 34, and we lost in the semifinals to like Michael Korn. He went to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they had a kid named Strickland. He ended up at he, he went to Fairfield University. Another kid from down South Jersey. They had a loaded squad, but we really played them tough with just kids from the park. And I was like, this is I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
You saw it. You saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that summer, Mr. Whitlock, a community guy, put us in the Rucker League in New York.
Mm.
And so, that was like a great experience. I At that time I had applied to colleges. I got accepted to the University of Dayton. So, I had written a coach and he told me that he would give me a tryout, a look. So I was excited just to have that opportunity. But, I was playing in the Rucker League, and I was
Yeah,
doing
how was that? Yeah, yeah,
I was doing my thing.
yeah.
And I mean, I was averaging about 26, 28 points a game. And, they had like superstars. I mean, I
I was gonna
remember
ask who was up there during that time.
you had like Sam Worthy that went to Marquette, Artie Green,
Mhm.
Stanley Lamb. He went to American University. Um, I think like Clyde Bradshaw from East Orange. They had some of the East Orange teams over there. So it was it was high powered. And my team, we went to the championship game. We
Mhm.
went to the championship game, and this is like unbelievable. I can't even believe it to this day. So during this time, the coach from American International College, a guy by the name of Hilton White, who was associated with the Rucker League, he just happened to be. We used to play at Mount Mars Park, Dykeman on 110th Street, and Colonel Young in Harlem on I think it was like 139th Street. And so this coach, he saw me. He said, "Where you going to school?" And I said, "I'm." As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to leave to Ohio to the University of Dayton. And he said, "Are they giving you a full scholarship?" I said, "No, they're giving me some money. They're going to give me an opportunity to try out." And he said, "Listen," he said, "I'm offering you a full scholarship right now."
Mhm.
And he says, "I want you to get in my car. I'm going to go home. I'm going to drive you back to Montclair. I want to speak to your parents." And I'm like, "Is this really happening?" And so I got in his car. He took me back to Montclair and he sat down, talked to my parents. And he says, "I'm offering your son a full scholarship. I'll take him up to the school." He asked me what I wanted to major in, and I said business administration. And he says, "Well, I'm going to call the dean of the business school to meet you on Sunday." We sat down, and he had this big office with this big oak table.
Mhm.
And, he took time out, talked to me, and said, "We're going to really help you through this process. We're going to make sure that you graduate. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity." And then he took me to the gym and showed me around. And he was like, 4 years, everything paid.
Mhm.
And I said, "You know what? I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity." And I was, so thankful to God that this happened for me. And but then he took me back to New York after I signed with him to the awards banquet, and Cal Ramsey for the Rucker.
Mhm.
He was the MC, and there was no way I thought I was the MVP of the Rucker League. So I went, I got my regular trophy, and then I left. We went back up to Springfield, Massachusetts,
Mhm.
and they called my coach. He said, "Why didn't your player stay to get his MVP?" And
Mhm.
I had no idea. I mean, that
Mhm.
I was the MVP of the Rutgers. So that was like my first, like, really great accomplishment. And I said, all of the hard work that I put into this paid off. And from that point on, when I tell you I was a gym rat, I was like, I'm never going to allow myself to sit on the bench. And I
Mhm.
was a 4 year starter, and I went to practice every day. I was angry because I didn't want to give up or even experience sitting on the bench or being cut again. So uh,
Mhm.
things really worked out well for me. I was
You
like,
hold tight with the with college real quick. I want to I want to talk about that in a second. Can I just jump back to that last year, that senior year at Montclair High? Um, just how important you talk about just practicing. I mean, sometimes that gets overlooked in the grand scheme of things. Just even back then that summer and everything else, just you practicing and looking back, how important was that for you? Just those three
that
hours.
was that was so important in my development as a young man.
Mm-hmm.
it it taught me that through hard work, not making excuses,
Mm-hmm.
that I could transform my life. That
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing on this earth I could not accomplish. I it was getting cut was like the worst experience in my life, but it transformed my life. It transformed my attitude. It made me like work ethic became not just something to talk about. It became a part of who I am, the very fabric of my life. And it I can't say enough about anyone who works hard, willing to put the time in, put the effort in. Now there's no shining lights when you're working hard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's it's it has to be within your soul, in your body, every in your mind. And so I was willing to do that. And I learned that if you work hard, if you're committed, then you can transform your life.
No, definitely.
It,
How? Yeah.
everything to me.
Nah, thank you for saying that too. And then and that team, that how that if you recall that senior year team, how good were you?
So we had a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Our coach, he he had like a really set, fundamentally, um, he was fundamentally sound, but he was very controlled. So you had to go through the sets, you had to pass the ball 6 or 7 times. And so I don't think that matched what our skill sets were.
Okay.
I thought that team was really designed to run and to press and things of that nature. And so we were kind of like held back. We had a decent season. We never was able to beat like East Orange or Orange, but we were very competitive against everyone else. Uh, we did. We I think we lost in the second round of the counties and like in the second round of the states. But we could have been so much more because, again, we went to the finals of the Rucker League basically with the same team. We had one kid who wasn't from Montclair named Johnny Flood.
Mm-hmm.
He's from East Orange, and he could jump out the gym.
Yeah.
And I, I, but John, but so we're playing at Dykeman Park. And I mean, he was really instrumental. And I think if we had him uh, in the final game, we would have won. But so I'm in Rucker Park in excuse me, Dykeman Park, and John Flood used to talk a lot of mess. He used to run his mouth. I mean, but he was a baller. And so we were playing, and John was going back and forth with the official. And I'm like, the official blew his whistle and went under the scoreboard and pulled out a pistol.
Mm, mm,
And I was like, God, please, John, don't say another word.
mm. This was the official.
This is the official that John was going at him. Like, I mean, he would talk a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And thank God he didn't shoot John. But John never came back. He
Yeah.
never came back with us to New York, but that,
Yeah.
that hurt us. But we had a really good team. And again, we lost to Stan Stan Lamb's team, Stanley Lamb's team to win the championship. And that hurt us. But we had a really good team. I mean,
Mm.
I really enjoyed playing with those guys, and they got me the ball, and I was able to deliver.
Yeah. Nah. Sounds like it here, dude. I know this back to the whole AIC thing. This I can only imagine the weight that was lifted off, your family financially, just him coming down there to say, hey, I got this scholarship. Never so, I can only imagine, that relief that they had, but also the relief you probably had too. And plus you was able to do something that you worked so hard to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I had a sister, she was at Rutgers.
Hmm.
Then it was me. Then I had a sister 2 years younger than I am. She went to AIC with me.
Okay.
And then my brother, he went to Rutgers, and my youngest brother went to Northeastern. So it was a lot of money. And
Yeah.
so that was a great relief to my parents for me to get a full scholarship to get my education and have an opportunity to play basketball.
Now AIC. Now being up there, you're in New England. It's not New York, New Jersey here, so it's a little different. You got a little accents and everything else with the ARs, pronouncing those words, everything. So how was it for you?
So it it was a great experience. To be honest with you, we and in Springfield they had some really good players as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
They had this kid named Mark Hall. He went to Minnesota, and when I tell you we had some live games, like during the preseason, kids from the Springfield area would come to our gym and
Mhm.
just local guys, the basketball players. So that was like a wonderful experience for me. I again I started from my freshman year right through my senior year. I had like I was my senior year I was leading New England in scoring. So I was really embraced. I mean, I had the support academically. I
Hmm.
was on my thing on the basketball court. And so the transition from Montclair, New Jersey to Springfield, Massachusetts, it was good for me. And, that was the first time in my life I could say, quote unquote, I was a legitimate star. And so it when you're a star, people just look at you completely different. I mean,
Hmm.
again, I was a bottom feeder, so but I never took any of that for granted.
Yeah.
I when I tell you every day in practice, I was angry because I wasn't letting no one uh, get my position. I mean,
Hmm.
before I would leave practice every day, and I would make 25 free throws in a row. I would not leave practice. I
Hmm.
was going to be the first at practice. Seriously, I was the last guy to leave practice. I made sure that I made 100 jump shots before I left. So again, it was all about work ethic. It was all about the experience of failure that I felt and I dealt with, and I was like, you know what? I don't never want to feel that again in life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. Great mentality to have here. And I don't want to gloss over some of your accomplishments over there at AIC. I know you over 1,700 points. You
Yeah,
know, Bob Cousy Award
yeah,
that you
yeah,
won here. Most outstanding, the player as far as that you playing here. And lastly, when it was all said and done, your induction into the Hall of Fame up there. So, like I said, don't want to gloss over those achievements here, and just to hear a little bit of this story here from getting cut to this here. And what did you want to do? Did you have pro aspirations?
yeah. Well, so I had a tryout with the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
Um, my roommate was a guy from the University of Kentucky named James Lee. Um, he had won the national championship a year earlier, but that was on another level. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you. I mean, the the number one um, draft choice was this kid named Carl Nix. He played with Larry Bird and Cedric Hodges out of South Carolina. But they had one position open for a shooting guard. This guy named John Roach. He had played at the University of South Carolina as well. He was at on the last year of his contract, and he was also an attorney, so he was thinking about just giving it up. But of course, it was my luck that he decided to come back. So all the shooting guards were cut, and the only two players that make it was their two top draft choices in Carl Nicks and Cedric Hodges. So
Hmm.
um, it was back to reality then.
How'd you
Uh,
think you did during camp?
oh, I did well. I
Hmm.
did well. I mean, it wasn't like it was completely over my head.
Okay.
Uh, I showed up. It was just it just wasn't the right timing for me.
Okay.
Of course, I was depressed after that for about 2 months. I really had to get myself together because I was like, what am I going to do? I had spent so much uh, of my time with basketball. I said, now you got to grow up. So
Mm.
I was thinking about trying to go overseas. My head coach, Jim Larinaga, who's at he's the head coach of the University of Miami now.
Okay.
He was telling me he went overseas for a couple of years, but he didn't really feel that it was all that beneficial. He felt that I could do better by, just getting a job and making my way in the business world. And so, I thought about it. I tried out with one team, but I don't think the money was right or the opportunity was right for me. And so I started working.
Did you wind up playing like even while you started working, like in the summer? You know, at the
Oh,
summer leagues.
oh
Did you
yeah.
did you did you
Oh,
do all that? Okay.
I played at Persian Field, Jersey City, St. Rocco's, Brashbrook Park.
Okay.
I played in all the men's circuit. So
Mhm.
and oh yeah, I never gave up basketball. That even to this day, I go in my gym and shoot my shots.
Mhm.
That's my refuge. That's the place where I can clear my mind and just reminisce and reflect on how wonderful this game has been to me.
Mhm. Now you say the real world. What did you wind up doing as far as career
So
wise?
I began my career with Burlington Industries in their transportation department, and I worked there for like 7 years. It was a good company, um, but I felt that I should have been promoted, and I think that the the transportation chief thought it, but I felt that I got a raw deal, and I was like, I can't live with myself
Hmm.
going through this process. I guess I could say it was a bit of racism, but you can't complain. So I sold insurance for Metropolitan Life Insurance um, for about a year and a half, and then through that process, when I was at Burlington Industries, I got my master's in transportation management from the New School for Social Research in New York. It
Hmm.
was they paid like 80% of my education, so I took advantage of that. I was like, it's really important to take advantage of every opportunity that you get, and so that by doing that, the New York City Transit Authority contacted me, and I worked for them as a analyst for about 7 years.
Okay.
And that was going great. Things were going well. And one day, I can't even remember, I was at Montclair High School, and one of my former teachers said, Major, you need to be in the education system. And I'm gonna be honest, I never thought about education as a profession. And I said, well, thank you for that compliment. He says, no, you will really make a difference.
Mm.
So September, I really didn't give much thought to it, but September rolled around, and a friend of mine's, Bingo Severa, Gerald Severa, he was
Mhm.
the head coach, and he asked me, he said, "Would you work with me as my JV coach?"
Mm.
And I was like, I really don't want to do that. You know, I'm a ball player. I really don't want to coach. And then he was persistent, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke to my bosses at the transit authority, and they said that they would allow me to do this.
They were supported. Yeah.
Yeah, they were supportive. They said, this is good. You know, you're going to be helping young men out. And we want people who work for us to reach out to their various communities and do good things.
Mm-hmm.
So they allowed me to leave during the season, like at 2:30, because I was working at 239th Street Maintenance Shop in the Bronx. So it was with no traffic, I could get to Montclair easily by 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So I started coaching JV, and I fell in love with it.
Oh
I
yeah.
I I fell in love with it, and I had some like really good seasons. I mean, I was undefeated. We beat like Shabazz. We beat all the teams, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and I
That was
had
that JV tournament. That was that.
and the JV tournament. It was
Okay.
it was it was hot, and I think Mr. McGriff, God bless his soul,
Mm.
uh, he hired me, but the JV tournament was hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Bingo, his Bob Lester coached at Montclair High School as well, in
Mm-hmm.
addition to East
Mm-hmm.
Stone. And he pulled me aside one day, and things weren't going well. And he asked me, would I take over the team? And I said, Coach, I can't do that in the middle of the season. I said, now, if you guys go in a different direction after the season, that would be something I would certainly throw my hat in the ring, but there's no way I could push Bingo out in the middle of the season. And I said, you're a great coach, Bob. I know you know the game, and just for you to endorse me to that level, I really appreciate it. But um, Bing, they released Bingo that during that season, and then
Can I ask what happened, or are you allowed to say, or is this
I think that was a tough group, I think, and they were very good. That group was very good. It was Tariq Beasley,
the Kimons and all of them? Or
Kimons, that group,
mm-hmm.
but they didn't. They weren't very successful. They were very talented, and I guess, the administration just decided to go in a different direction.
But you probably had them as freshmen, sophomores. You had them,
Right? Yeah,
right?
I exactly.
Okay.
And so, I had connected really well with that group, and I worked as hard as I could with Bingo to support him as much as possible. But I guess at the varsity, it just didn't translate, and the administration decided to go in a different direction.
So you get the helm, things change. You start making
Yeah, we
some
made a lot
runs.
more. Yeah, we made a
Yeah.
lot of noise. I mean, right from the beginning, we were state champions, sectional champions. We beat like 7 top 20 teams in a row.
Mm,
It was one of the most amazing rides ever. I mean, we beat Irvington. They had Brunson.
mm-hmm.
Uh, we beat Hackensack, Teaneck. Elizabeth. We went into Elizabeth
You went down to the Dunn Center, huh?
to the Dunn Center, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Montclair had like 15 buses of students.
I believe it. I believe it.
So the police officer said to me, this is the first time I have ever seen a visiting crowd louder than the Elizabeth crowd. And we beat them for the sectional state championship down in Elizabeth. That was amazing, amazing.
Mm.
Um, you know, all of my players, I'm indebted to them for the remainder of my life. They did so much for me, during my coaching years. But yeah, it was really amazing. It was
Now,
really.
now was that the year y'all made a deep run in the counties too? That same year? Was that the same?
Oh yeah, we lost in the quarterfinals of the county.
Okay.
But yeah, we went to the finals of the county a couple of times, losing to Irvington. And see, we got robbed one year. I will tell you, we got robbed one year, but you know,
Against who? Against what team was that?
against Irvington,
It's
I had a
okay.
kid. We're up 4 points with like I would say maybe 20 seconds. We hit a shot, and Kamal Roundtree was under the basket,
Mm,
and the ball came through the net, and he wasn't, it was just like a natural reaction. He like flicked the ball out of his face because it was gonna
mm,
hit him in his head, and
mm,
the ref called technical on him. And
mm,
Irvington got the ball. Well, they made both technicals, and then they got the ball, and this kid hit a 3-pointer with like 1 second to go.
mm, mm.
I mean that loss still, it stings. It stings, but you know I appreciate the effort that my guys gave to me.
And it was probably a good time too, because I know with Coach Lester when he was coaching, and even prior to him coaching, Montclair had some deep runs in the counties, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
back in those days playing in Walsh Gym and
yeah,
everything
oh
else
yeah. We
there.
had I had a kid, Samad Fisher,
I know somebody, yeah,
who we I tell you, it has to be one of the best county games because we used to play down at Essex County
down
College.
at the county, yep.
All of those games were sold out.
Hmm.
So we're playing Shabazz, double overtime. Um, I think they had a kid named Barino. I can't think of the other kids, but they were Samad and Barino. They were going back and forth, talking junk. Barino came down and said, "Take that," and Samad Fisher came down and said, "Take that." It was just unbelievable. But I got to tell you a funny story. My assistant coach, um, Bobby Hurt, that morning when we played Shabazz, he went down north. He bought a purple suit. You couldn't tell. He
Oh
came to
yeah.
my house at 8 o'clock in the morning. He said, he said, Mage, I bought this suit. We gonna win this game. He says, I'm clean as the board of hell. So we're down north at the counties, and right at the tip off, everybody in the stand starts singing the Barney song. And the
Oh.
refs start laughing. They stopped the game. And Bob Hurt went up to the middle of the court just like Bow. But it was hilarious. But it was high drama. I mean, I love those days. Those kids, Alto Virgil. I mean, those boys could play. They
Mhm.
could really play. I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm internally grateful to the effort, to the commitment, to the wins that they brought to Montclair High School. It, it was probably some of the greatest games that has ever been played at Montclair. Those guys really did a great job.
Yeah. Now you kept the same mentality you have for yourself in regards to them practicing, as
Oh,
far as.
oh yeah, yeah. That probably got me in trouble
Mhm,
uh, during my later years. I was demanding, I because the game meant so much to me.
mhm,
It meant so much to me. And, with the AAUs, we lost some really good players to Seton Hall Prep and
mhm,
St. Patrick's, players that I know if they had played for us would have really, because we always had deep runs, always with the guys that stuck with me. But
mhm.
with some of those players, that would have put us clearly over the top. I mean, we were going to the state sectional finals consistently, always to the semifinals of the counties, or at least the Elite Eight, if you
Hmm.
will. But I I really worked my play. I felt that if we were always in shape, um, and we really had to be in shape because when I tell you we played in a tough league, we played against Bergen Catholic,
Hmm.
St. Joe's, Don Bosco, uh,
The
uh,
Patterson schools.
Patterson Kennedy, Patterson Eastside, T Neck. I mean, it was a brutal schedule. A
Hmm.
brutal, I mean, when I tell you Passaic, you had to bring it every. It was no cakewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really difficult schedule, and so uh, we necessarily didn't always have the talent that some of those big time schools um, had, but they knew they were in a fight when they played Montclair because I always told my kids if you are in shape, if you play defense, if you could limit your the opposing team to one shot and you can make your free throws and not turn the ball over, we could be successful. And
Hmm.
so we took a lot of pride in trying to make that happen, and I think that allowed us to be successful. So
So,
I was very hard on my players, but
mhm.
I love them, and but with love comes a a lot of demands.
Yeah, and as full grown adults, I'm sure that they thank you for that. Kind of it probably it's sprinkled in their lives one way or another here, just knowing how being demanding what the results can be if you're consistent and do things the right way. So I'm sure as adults they're thankful for that. Can I ask, when did you wind up? You mentioned that trip to the Bronx. I mean, and you started coaching. So something had to give eventually that you wind up stopping and you
So,
transition into education.
oh my God, you talking about pressure. So the Mr. McGriff said he made it clear to me. He said you have to take the national teachers exam in order to qualify for the head coaching position. You have to become a teacher.
Okay.
But he said it to the paper.
Oh, yeah. So you
So
had no choice.
everyone
Yeah,
knew.
yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, if I don't pass this test, everybody's going to know I failed the test.
Hmm.
So I went to the bookstore, bought books on how to prepare best for this national teachers exam. And, it was math, science, social studies, and language arts. So it was like 4 quarters. And I just worked my tail off studying, and it was a tough exam, but again, thank God I was able to pass and move on. But that was my transition. But the whole town knew that I had to pass that test in order to qualify. And then I interviewed for a position, and I landed here at formerly Mount Hebron Middle School.
Now you mentioned the paper. Hopefully, it was just only in the Montclair Times, not the Star Ledger.
Yeah, no, it was only in the Market Times.
Okay, okay,
It was
okay,
only in the Market Times.
okay,
But
okay.
speaking of the Star Ledger, I think you said that you went to Immaculate.
Mr. Kenny, he's the
Mike Kinney,
yeah.
I tell you, he was really good to me throughout
No,
my career. He was just a really honest uh, writer, a sports
mhm.
writer. He always took care of me, and I'm really grateful for Mike Kinney. He was really good to me.
Nah, great man, great man. How's your relationship with Mr. Tolbert?
Mr. Tober and I, it was good. Uh, I I don't. It wasn't as good as Mike's.
Okay.
We would we would go back and forth. I because again, I really don't know what the genesis of that was. I mean, maybe he didn't like my style,
Okay.
uh, but it was never um, a relationship of disrespect. But I think that we didn't always see eye to eye. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I would think that my players should deserve more coverage, but or he didn't think that we could perform as well as we thought that we thought we could. And so, but we would just use that as energy to to prove him wrong.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, even from what your coaching hat on, how's the relationships just within the county yourself with amongst the other coaches, the Lou Grimsleys, the Greg Tynes, the
Oh
Al
yeah, yeah.
Thompsons, how what was your
Oh yeah.
relationship with
Oh,
all of them?
my relationship, I had really good relationships with all of those guys.
Hmm.
I was animated,
Hmm.
uh, but that was my style. You got to be true to who you are.
That's right.
But yeah, I had great games against Greg Times,
Hmm.
Lou Grimsley. In fact, Lou was coaching when we upset them down in the county. Um, I had some epic battles against East Orange and Scott with Greg
Hmm.
Times.
Hmm.
So all of those guys, we would battle.
Yeah.
So we won some and we lost some, but we certainly won our share.
Hmm. Now you forget one thing too. Speaking of coaching, what made you start coaching girls volleyball? Was it because of your daughters or?
No, no, actually, Bob Lester again. Bob Lester said that he was basically tired of coaching, and the athletic director called me in and said, "Look, would you coach volleyball? We can't find anyone to coach volleyball." And I said, "Sure,
Mhm.
I'll do it." And Bob gave me some pointers, gave me some books to read. I fell in love with that.
Yeah.
Coaching girls volleyball. We had some very successful seasons with that. We won a couple of conference championships. So it was good. It was really good. And
Hmm.
I'm proud to say that we won about 8 conference championships with the boys basketball as well. But coaching, it's all about building relationships, connecting with your kids, uh, making them feel that there's somebody that they're empowered and that they can beat anyone.
Hmm.
And so
Now,
that's what I always did.
with the whole coming in as a teacher, just to go back to this actually in school piece here, you just felt as though like just with anything you wanted to see the highest level you can reach. Because again, you came in, with the whole teacher exam, and where you sitting now as a proud principal of a school here, was it just one of those things to see how far you can go up the ladder?
Well, no.
Okay.
So while I was coaching, I I'm not going to say a name because I don't want to, but it was a gentleman who became an administrator,
Okay.
and I didn't see eye to eye with him. And I said to myself, if this guy becomes my administrator, there's no way I could last in
Hmm.
this field because I don't think he was true to kids. I don't think he was the right fit for kids, and I didn't think that he supported kids. I thought it was more about him. And I said, there's no way I can work for this guy. So I said, you can either make an excuse or you can do something about it.
Hmm.
And God is my witness. I enrolled in Montclair State. I went through all the procedures, took the test, GRE, um, applied, and I started taking graduate classes for administration at Montclair State while I was coaching.
Hmm.
It took me about 8 years to get through that process
Okay.
uh, of earning my degree. And when I finished, one part of the process was interviewing with other schools. And so I did that, and in a school from West Orange,
Mm-hmm.
uh, middle school. They offered me a job,
Mm-hmm.
but and it of course it paid more, but I was like, I can't leave coaching. But I had my paperwork
Mm-hmm.
just in case this particular individual uh, became my assistant principal or principal. It never happened,
Okay.
but it was the wrong reason, to be honest with you, but it was just the competitiveness in me and not to make an excuse. So I said, I need to get my administrative degree so that this guy could never dictate the direction of my career.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I I thought I could be good at it. It was just that my love for coaching basketball was so great, I wasn't ready to give it up just yet. But to be completely transparent and honest, that was the reason, the motivating reason why I went to graduate school from to get my degree in administration.
Mm-hmm.
Then, uh, in the twilight of my basketball career, I think because I was really old school, I really believed in work ethic. I really believed in you have to earn it, and so two significant things happened towards the end of my career. One, we had a manager who had a disability, and I had some really good players, but they weren't giving me what I thought that they could give me. And so at the end of our end of the year banquet, I gave the MVP to the manager
Mm-hmm.
because he was always on time, he was committed, and I believe that you get what you deserve. And my last year coaching, I didn't believe my team did all that they could do to be the best that they could be. And I didn't have a banquet because I just could not give up something that I felt that my team didn't deserve,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you. A banquet is something that you have to earn. And I didn't feel that they deserved it. And I didn't do it. And I don't regret doing it. And so I didn't see eye to eye with the administration, and they said that they wanted to go in a different direction. And they told me I should just resign, as opposed, they didn't really want to release me. And I was like, there's no way. Everybody in this community knows that I'm not just going to quit, because quitting's not in
Mm-hmm.
my bag.
Yeah.
And so they released me and went in a different direction. And so that say a month later, Dr. Hoover, he called me into his office. He says, I love what you were doing, and I don't endorse this. I'm the interim, but I hear that you have your administration degree. Would you consider being an assistant principal? And I said, yes, I think I'm ready for that. And the next year, he made me an assistant principal here at Mount Hebron Middle School.
It goes with the old adage: one door closes, another one opens.
And that's what happened to me. And that's
Mm-hmm.
honest to God's truth. I'm telling you, um, it, and
Yes.
being prepared, putting in the time, putting in the effort, putting in the commitment to do what's right, so that when you need to rely on something, you had it. So I was an assistant principal for about 10 years. Then the superintendent calls me one day and asks me, would I go to Renaissance Middle School here in Montclair? I did that for a year, and then he allowed me to come back to um, Buzz Aldrin, where I had been for like 30 years. And so here I am today.
Mm. Did you flirt with going to coach at it somewhere else once they released you, or you was like, you know what, I put in my time.
I if the right offer uh had come my way, I probably would have done that. But Mr. Hoover, excuse me, Dr. Hoover, approached me, and I thought that was a great opportunity
Hmm.
um, to to do something different. And one of my coworkers, she told me, she said, Major, on the basketball team, you're affecting approximately um, 45 lives. She says, being an administrator, at this school, you're going to affect about 600 lives.
Hmm.
And, I thought about that, and I thought about that seriously. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a try, because I knew I cared for all kids. I wanted to make a difference in their lives. I wanted them to realize that there are tremendous opportunities out there if you want to work hard. Kids come from different backgrounds, different experiences, but I wanted to instill in them that through hard work, you could overcome whatever trials and tribulations that you're currently experiences. But you have to put in the work.
Yeah, no, definitely got to put in the work here. How all this going on here, just throughout your adult life, coaching and transitioning into teaching to administration to everything else. How was life at home during all this time? I mean, how was the support back at the
Oh
crib?
well, you know, my wife was a busy person, so she supported me through this process.
Hmm.
My kids, my oldest daughter Jennifer, she played basketball and volleyball with me, and that was a great experience. And my youngest daughter Ariel um, played volleyball with me, so they were like pretty outgoing. They had their own lives, so they
Okay.
really didn't care.
Okay.
They're probably happy I was away from the house, getting on their nerves, because
Hmm.
I was tough on my daughters as well, because I just wanted them um, to be independent.
That's right.
I wanted them to realize that they could do whatever they want in life. It was important for them to go to college, because I wanted them to have meaningful, fruitful lives. And so
Hmm.
uh, I'm happy to say I think that they're doing that. But they
Uh,
were probably happy that I was away,
okay.
not bothering them, harassing them.
With sports here, what is sports giving you that's lasted stuck with you to this day?
Everything. It
Yeah.
it's made me made me realize that, again, that I'm never quitting,
Hmm.
that I'm never going to give up, that each waking hour is an opportunity to get better. Um, it taught me how to be a good teammate. It taught me so much about life. I mean, I've experienced what it feels like to be cut, to be the last man on the bench, to be a contributor, and to be a star.
Mm.
And so, with all of those experiences through basketball, I've learned how to relate to all kind of people and difficulties that they may be experiencing. Again, I through those experiences, I learned how to be empathetic. I learned how to be supportive, and most of all, I learned that the higher you go up, the more you're required to be a servant. So, like in my current position, I come to Buzz Aldrin Middle School to serve every teacher,
Hmm.
every student, every lunch worker, every paraprofessional, every custodian, every parent, this entire community. I'm not here to try to flex my muscles. I'm here to be a servant and try to make a difference, most importantly, in young people's lives. And I just think all the experiences that basketball afforded me, certainly my life experiences by being in Virginia has shaped me
Mm,
into understanding and being able to relate to people and to be able to take harsh criticism, because when you're demanding of people, it's not necessarily well received. And so you can't break down. You can't give up. You can't lower your standards. You just have to love a little harder. You just have to be supportive, but you can never lower your
mm,
standards. And
yeah,
that's that's what basketball and
yeah.
sports has taught me.
Nah,
Very valuable lessons.
nah. Thanks for sharing that. Well said too. Here on the back end here, can I just throw you on the spot here? Some random
Sure.
questions or what have you. Some random or what have you here. So, being a Jersey guy, you prefer the Parkway or the Turnpike?
The Parkway, because the Parkway take you to the Turnpike. So I'm gonna say the Parkway. I mean, it's a pain in the neck paying all the tolls, but the Parkway.
Okay. Being a Montclair guy here, when both of these was actually movie theaters, Claridge or Wellmont?
The Wellmont was closer to the Fourth Ward, so it was within walking distance. So I would go to the Wellmont.
Okay.
In fact, my mother took all of my boys and myself to see Cotton Comes to Harlem at the Wellmont.
At the okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Being a Montclair guy, see if you know what's this name mean. What does Mr. Young mean to Montclair?
Mr. Young was a legend. He cut everyone's hair.
Hmm.
I don't have any hair now, but Mr. Young was someone that had a listening ear. Um, he taught us, all the young men, how important it is to eat properly. He talked about education. He talked about what it is to be a responsible man. So Mr. Young was a legend in Montclair.
Speaking of Montclair, there's a whole slew of people that's walked through there. But where was you at when you heard this quote here? Montclair's man on the moon.
Montclair, man on the moon. I was I was actually, they had a parade on Bloomfield Avenue, and I was just a youngster participating in that activity,
Hmm.
celebrating Buzz Aldrin.
And how crazy that you're the principal of that school.
You can't make it up. You can't. I mean, God has blessed me. The people around me, the Hataris, the Paul Yates,
Mm.
Al Pelham, Bob Lester, Wendy McGriff, Clarence Hoover, Dr. Pons, Warren Singer, Professor Corral, Hilton White, Jim Powell, Jim Larinaga. I mean, I would be nothing without the people. I mean, Mr. Whitlock, they just made a difference in my life. For whatever reason, they thought that this little kid from the corner of Maple Avenue and Elmwood Avenue meant something, could be something. Um, Ronnie Burton, and
Hmm.
they they supported me, I I give all the thanks and glory certainly to God, and certainly to the many people who played a significant role in my life. I could not have done this without them, without my parents, without my grandfather, Major
Hmm.
James West, so and my family. So, but it was the community that rallied behind Major Jennings, believed in Major Jennings, and that's why I'm the principal of Buzz Aldrin Middle School.
Mm. Yes. When you're not doing, when you kind of remove yourself from everything here, what is Major Jennings like to do here? What do you like to do when you remove yourself from teaching? You just need some you time. What do you do with yourself?
Well, I, again, I'm in the gym. I'm shooting those jump
Okay.
shots. You know, I like to how I relax. I like to watch like animal pictures, animal
Mhm.
movies, things like with lions and tigers and things of that nature that just relax me. Um, I, I don't do a lot of vacationing, but I I just I'm just like a regular grassroots guy, and
Mhm.
um, just thankful that God has blessed my life to the extent whereas I can make a difference in people's lives. I
Nah,
really just thankful to have that opportunity. I look forward to going to work every day.
nah. And it's interesting. You just do a word out there. Here's a man synonymous with that word. You mentioned grassroots. Wally Choice.
Yes, yes.
Mr.
So
Choice. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Choice with grassroots. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a part of that program as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that again, my house was right across the street from the park. So
Mhm.
I participated in grassroots um, all of my life, and during my developmental years. But
Mhm.
you know, Mr. Choice. So I went to apply for a job with grassroots. He didn't give me a job, but a man, but name of William Shipley from Essex County Park Commissions out of Newark.
Mhm.
Uh, he gave me a job, and I was always grateful to Mr. Shipley for giving me a job, and he allowed me to be in the park playing basketball. And
Mhm.
so, but the grassroots program served so many kids in our community, and we're certainly grateful for that.
Yeah. Speaking of parks, best park to play growing up, as far as teenage and formative years in regards to playing ball. I know you
No,
can say Glenfield, but you
no question, Glenfield Park.
oh you're gonna
That,
bypass Elmwood, you're gonna bypass Green Acres, you're gonna
that,
bypass all.
that those so Elwood Park, no question,
Okay.
was the park for the stars.
Okay.
But Glenfield Park for Major Jennings was the park that molded me, that gave me the opportunity, that allowed me to
Mm,
develop my skills. And so I spent many of lonely evenings working on my game, but Glenfield Park, it will always be the park that I cherish.
I haven't been over there in years. I heard they redid the park.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, they
Okay.
built this beautiful park house. Um, the basketball courts, they're redoing them again.
Okay.
They're named after Bob Hurt, who
Mm,
went to Fairfield University. We have tennis courts, baseball field. Uh, they put a brand new AstroTurf behind the park house. I mean, Glenfield Park, excuse me, is not the park that I grew up in,
okay.
but it it is really beautiful.
Mm,
It is really beautiful. It's a park that most people in the other parts of Montclair weren't even coming in when I was going. It was just the community park, but now it is really, really a beautiful park.
nah, good stuff. Good stuff. Montclair High or AIC?
Socially, Montclair High School. I mean, I love Montclair High School.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would have to say Montclair High School, even though uh, the greatest success athletically and academically came from AIC, but Montclair High School, I would have to say Montclair High School.
Okay.
I'm a Montclair guy.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Coaching or playing?
Playing. You, oh my God, that is so. You know what? I that is so tough for me.
Yeah.
That is like really, I think maybe coaching because coaching allowed me to touch so many players and to hear their experience. I got to tell you one quick story.
No, absolutely.
And I'm going to say coaching. Um, Samad Fisher, man, he was a hell of a player, but um, I'm bringing him home one night and he just starts crying.
Mm.
I'm like, Samad, what's wrong? He said to me, he said, Coach, he said, you know, before I was a star, nobody wanted to even really be around me.
Mm.
He said, you know, I was just like a nobody. He said, then I became a star. He says, everybody, family members, people in the community, they want to be around me. And it hurts me because I think they just want to be around me because of basketball. And and I told him, I said, you know, that just goes with the territory, but enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts. Because, you know, we fade as athletes into the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But these are always memories that you will have, but always be deeply rooted in what is right and what is good and what is best for Samad Fisher. And so those moments, you know, Alto Virgil, um, I just had so many conversations with him. You know, he passed on, but just the connections, just the relationships um, that that were developed, just guiding young people. I think coaching was more impactful,
Okay.
but playing, I think, opened the doors for me. But in terms of the impact and the significance, um, it had to be coaching.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
It had to be coaching.
Speaking of coaching, best game you ever coached? Does one stick out? Does one stick out?
Oh yeah, the best game I ever coached was the Shabazz game.
Okay.
I'm never gonna forget that game. That
Mm.
when I tell you it was sold out, the drama. We were both the Bulldogs, the Mounties and the Bulldogs.
Bounties. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm never gonna forget that. And I have to say, when Alto Version went coast to coast up in oh my God. Oh, my mind is terrible. It was in the state sectional championship. Oh, I can, it's way out
Yeah.
west.
No. No. Okay. Okay.
I can't believe it, but he went coast to coast and made a basket. But that was really um on Alto. But no, the Shabazz ECT semifinals had to be the best.
Mm. Okay. Best game you ever played as a player? Well, what sticks out?
Oh, the best game I ever played as a player was in 1980 against Quinnipiac. They had this unbelievable player called Howard Driver. I had 46, and
Mm.
that probably was the best game I ever played.
Okay. Okay.
But a
Side
close
side.
second was
What's
against
a close
UMass.
second?
A
Against
close
UMass?
second was against UMass. I had 34
Mm.
up at University of Massachusetts. So, but I would Quinnipiac probably was the greatest performance.
Okay. I'm gonna yo-yo again with the playing and coaching here. Best team you ever coached?
The best team I ever coached was Samad Fisher,
Okay.
um, David Coleman,
Mm-hmm. DC.
Malik
Yeah.
Fisher, Robert Smith, um, James Killebrew, Gunnar Winston, um, John Ellis. That was that was a hell of a team.
Yeah, yeah.
Best team. Yeah.
Oh. Best team you ever played on.
Best team I ever played on was the team that went to the finals in at the Rucker League with
Okay.
Frank Hillman, Dean Rice, Greg Whitlock, John Flood, Mark Brown. I got to go with my crew.
Look at
I
that
got,
crew. That's a mean crew. That's a mean crew.
I'm a live and die with that crew, boy. Those boys could play.
That's a mean crew. I know you've been asked this throughout your time here. Your all time Montclair High starting five,
Whew.
and you can make it positionless too, if that makes it a little
Oh
easier.
my God! So listen,
So how about
you
your all time
you
starting
you got
five for right
you
now?
gotta. I gotta tell you, my team. So I would say the guys I coach, I gotta get them love. I gotta get them love. So I had to say, oh, oh my goodness, Samad Fisher, Alto Virgil, Samad Fisher, Alto Virgil, Jordan Fowler. Oh God, let me think now. Jordan Fowler, Samad Fisher, Alto Virgil. Um,
Was that the one you're talking about with DC on it too? With Dave?
no, see, DC and um, no, I'm giving you different eras that I
Okay,
coached.
okay.
Um, Kamal Roundtree, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting someone. But Montclair had you have to think about Dwayne Jones, your Curtis Richwood, Fred Matthews,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Craig Robinson was an amazing player for Montclair. Um, but I'm missing one of my. Oh my God, who am I missing? Oh God, you you caught me on that one.
Nah, no problem. No problem. Think about it. We can
You
edit it
caught
in.
me
Don't
on that one,
worry.
but
It's
I'm
all.
missing somebody. I know Jordan Fowler. I'm missing somebody. Um, but anyway, and I apologize. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but it was one other player that for whatever reason, is just slipping my mind.
Not Tariq. Was it Tariq you told me?
Well, see, I didn't coach Tariq.
Yeah,
I
okay.
coached him as Tariq was with Bingo.
Okay.
He was,
Okay.
Keyman and those guys were a little before me, but
Okay.
yeah, that's a hard one. But
Nah, all good. All good.
all of
All
those
good.
guys, I mean, I'm just Cecil Stinson. They were just unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Now, during your time here, as far as even at the high, I just use the high school level. They may have went on and played at higher levels, but during your time, as far as best player you saw in Essex County, best player you saw.
Well, I would say in my era, the best player had to be Kelly Chapuka.
Okay.
You know, he put up amazing numbers. But when I think about it in Essex County, when I was coaching, they had a kid named Randy Foy from East
East
Side.
side from East side. Yeah.
That kid was incredibly athletic. He was
Hmm.
a team player. He could jump. Of course, he went on to Villanova and played some years in the pros, uh, but overall, Kelly was averaging big numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to think about Clyde Bradshaw, Cleveland Eugene from East Stars. Those guys, you know, Robert Cole.
Speaking of Robert Cole, I got a compliment to send your way. I know he said you're one of the best shooting guards he's played with.
Listen, Rob, so Robert Cole if I could, I think Robert Cole, Greg Tynes, um, myself. I think we had Craig Robinson. We played over in Persian Field with Hatari. Yo, we were tough.
Yeah, that's a
Wait,
tough
that
squad.
that may be the best team overall. When you going outside of Montclair,
Mhm.
that was a tough team. That was a
Yeah.
tough team. I'm gonna tell you, pound for pound, Robert Cole. I mean, I seen guys knock Robert down and he'd get back up and score 30.
Mm.
Yeah, Robert Cole, he's a little younger, not much, but he was tough. He was,
Yeah.
I mean, just that kid had so much heart.
Mm.
He had a lot of heart. Yeah. That team that Hatari put together may have been the best team that I
Yeah.
played with. Yeah, Greg Tynes, he had a sweet jumper as well. He
Mhm.
was 2 years ahead of me. I always kind of looked up to him as well. The one thing, to be honest with you, though, because I thought that names would sort of at the high school level like intimidate players. And so I really never said that this guy was so great that you can't, overcome them.
Mhm.
We would come up with, of course, we appreciated great players. And even in college, when Jim Larranaga, he was giving his scouting report, he was talking about this kid, how great he is. And I was like, Coach, I don't want to hear that no more. I
Mm.
want to cover him, give him to me. I don't care how good he is.
Mhm.
But that team, when you said Robert Cole and Greg Tynes and Craig Robinson, I can't remember who else. That was a tough team.
Yeah.
We were tough.
Yeah.
And Hatari, you talking about a
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
I picked up a lot of stuff from him. He was a good guy. He's from Montclair, but he always coached the Orange Boys.
Mhm.
But he picked me up on that team, and I was grateful for that.
Nah, nah, nah. That's great. That's great. Uh, a book on your life. What would you call it?
Perseverance,
Yeah. Yeah.
perseverance,
Perseverance.
perseverance.
I can see why. I can see why. I can see.
Perseverance, man. You can't give up, man. You can't let other people tell you what you cannot do. Um, it's if you work hard, you can do anything. There's no excuses. There's no excuses when you know, and especially when you know your history. There's so many people before me whose lives was so much more challenging.
Mhm.
I mean, I think about the Middle Passage. I think about slavery.
Mhm.
There's no excuse for Major Jennings. There's no
Mm.
excuse for the
Mm.
people who allow me to vote. I take all of that seriously because people died to give me these opportunities. And I'm never going to take them lightly. And I'm going to always be eternally grateful for the path that was paved for me.
Yeah. Nah. Nah. Thank you for saying that here. Uh, this is kind of selfish for me just to find out. Best part about being a father.
Just just watching your child grow and develop and mature. Um, Probably the greatest day of my life when both of my daughters graduated college.
Mhm.
I tell you, I was so emotional. I couldn't even sit with my family. I mean, I just cried and
Yeah.
cried
Yeah.
and cried. I had the worst headache, but to see my daughters graduate college meant so much to me because I felt like there was a weight off of my shoulder. Like now they're prepared
Mhm.
to to move on, to be independent, and I've given them what they need to to be successful. And so just watching them grow up, develop, um, into to good people, showing manners, um, believing in themselves, and having a part of that development uh, means so much to me. And I really believe my daughters are good people, and they reach out to help people give back to the community, and are passionate regarding their pursuit of excellence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And just some advice. This is keep her friends close to your home
Okay.
so that you can see who she's associating with. You get an idea as she grows and develops that let us let her scar her knee while you can mend it,
Mm.
while you can help guide her. And when she goes to go to college or become independent, you know that she will make the right decision. She will be independent in her thinking. I think that's so important as when you're raising a kid, not to be a follower, be independent in your thinking, always treat people with the utmost respect, no matter where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to listening to other people, no matter what their religion, um, where they're from, their background. I had a brother, Saladin from Massachusetts, and he was a devout Muslim, and he lived off campus. And like some, kids in college, a lot of kids get high, party, do that. He wasn't about that. But he had no place to pray. He had no place to pray. And I allowed him to use my room because I believe it was like 5 times a day, but he would go to my room and pray. And I there was some kids from Iran that went to my, and it was during that time with the Iran Contra, and college kids across the nation were kind of protesting against them. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like 4 girls. They were like petrified, and I would say that was the first time in my life I really had to like kind of put my own life in danger. I was like, listen, if these kids harm you, they're gonna have to kill me. I want to make, and eventually the school had to put them up in a hotel because of death threats and things of that nature. But just be kind to people and just listen to people. That to me bridges the gap of differences. But if you don't allow yourself to sit down and have the confidence to communicate with all, no matter who they are, you really never get to know someone. So be humble,
Mm-hmm.
be respectful, and work hard. And if you can do those things, I think my humble advice, I think you're going to be proud of your daughter. It really worked out for me.
Nah, nah. Thank you for the advice. Well taken on my end too. Absolutely. Yeah. What uh, what would this Major Jennings at this point in your life? What advice would you give that senior year Major Jennings? What advice would you give him?
I would I would say be more focused academically
Mm.
than you were. I wish early on, even though it worked out for me, um, that I had focused as much attention on my academics as I did uh, athletically. I think that's important. Just getting involved in more academic type clubs, but because that prepares you for speaking engagements, things of that nature. It just opens the door more. So just have a equal balance to pursue with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your energy, your passion, but at the same time, understanding and having a deep love and appreciation for learning.
Yeah.
And so I would say to that Major Jennings, I want you to focus as much attention as you did athletically on your on your books.
Mm. What would your parents say about you?
My parents, my my parents would be very proud of me,
Hmm.
and my parents would say no excuses. My mother didn't give me anything. And she made sure I had a good meal, I had
Hmm.
clothes, but in terms of um, having the latest styles and things, you want it, you better go shovel some snow, you better cut some grass, you better rake some leaves, you better earn it on your own. I have four other kids I have to worry about.
Hmm.
And but those lessons of not getting a handout. My mother and father didn't believe in handouts. They
Hmm.
believe that you have to earn it. You have to, the early bird gets the worm. My mother used to get us up. No excuses for being late. Um, be dependable, be respectful. And so I have really tried to incorporate all of those things into my life. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, um, it has benefited me tremendously.
Hmm.
And I believe a lot of the blessings that have come my way are directly related to being respectful, being independent, being responsible.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I would, without a shadow of a doubt, push all of those themes. And, I'm eternally grateful to my parents for instilling the proper work ethic in me and to believing that I could be successful.
Thank you for sharing that. Can I ask, as far as the name Major, as far as was it passed throughout, or where did it come from?
It was the greatest gift that my mother could give me. That was my grandfather's name, Major James West.
Okay.
She named me Major, and this was a black man from the South who had his own business, his own farm, uh, as I told you, a funeral business,
Hmm.
a convenience store. He built a shop for his sons, an auto mechanic shop. He acquired land, and he was proud. And he didn't allow no excuses. He said, "You got to be the best.
Hmm.
You got to be the best, and you got to fight for your rights.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to give it to you."
Yeah.
And I had to fight for this land, and I had to
Hmm.
work hard for this land, and I had to work hard to be independent. And so uh, I wear the name. Well, I the name Major means so much to me. I was cracked on a lot, General, Sergeant,
Hmm.
but it made no difference because I was named after my grandfather,
Yeah.
who was a legend in my eyesight, who
Hmm.
overcame so many obstacles and gave me a vision that I could be successful.
Yeah. No, that's great here. Last one here, as far as just in regards to what's next for you? Retirement in sight, or we just gonna keep doing this?
Um,
And
well,
what's next for you?
well, there's a lot of sand on the bottom. I always made a promise when I can't give 100% to these young people, then that's when I'm gonna give it up. Um, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but I
Hmm.
know just because of my age that it's going to come to an end soon. But I'm going to keep going as long as I can give 100%. But once I can't give 100%, then it's time to go. It's
Hmm.
time to go. I can't cheat these kids. I
Yeah.
love these kids with all my heart. They give me energy. They inspire me. They get mad at me sometimes because I have
Hmm.
to instill discipline, but it's all out of love. It's never out of I want to get you back.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it as long as I can.
Nah, nah, definitely here. And they say, you engrave your name in the hearts of kids, you live forever. So, and I think you've done that throughout your life here, whether it's coaching, education, your own children and those in your community as well. Mr. Major, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. This is, again, like I told you right from the beginning, is an honor. And just to hear a little bit of your walk here, it's been great to just sit back and just listen. So, and that's one of the reasons I do this here. I mean, as much as those I want to share and talk, I get so much probably more fulfillment than this and the person I'm speaking with. So thank you for spending some time with me and just giving me a little bit of opportunity to hear a little bit of your walk. I just want to say thank you.
Well, Mr. Ibn Webb, thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for listening to my story. You're doing great work. You have great people on, and I'm just honored and humbled to have this opportunity to speak to you. So thank you very much, sir.
Nah, thank you, and I'll be in touch.
All right.
And be well.
Be well, brother.
All right.
All right.
That's why I do this here, Mr. Major Jennings. I mean, this again, I know he was on that list of mine here, was able to get him. Just want to thank Cleon for that as well, too, with the assist he's always been giving me throughout this journey. I've been doing this as well, too. So but with that said, I'm just gonna step to the side here. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.